Hey everyone, and welcome to the Cheyenne Hills Podcast, Verse by Verse. We know it's often hard to find time to spend studying God's Word, so we're happy you can join us as we read, unpack, and discuss Scripture every Tuesday and Thursday. We hope you enjoy the program.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome to Verse by Verse through Genesis. And guys, we're here at the finish line. This is like going the Tour de France. You know, you have every day has a certain starting point, ending point, and your time and everything. Well, this is the last day. We're gonna finish today, finally going through Genesis, and chapter 50 is the last of these really of the Jacob cycle. It's the last of the book of Genesis. So
may not be done in 13 seconds, but we'll get it done.
No, we're going to get it done. We're going to run all the way to the end. Yeah, we may not be the first one across the finish line, but here we go. So so I'm going to back up one verse. And Jacob finished charging his sons. He drew his feet into his bed. He breathed his last and was gathered to his people. So Jacob dies. Then chapter 50, verse 1. Then Joseph fell on his father's face and wept over him and kissed him. And Joseph commanded all the servants and the physicians to embalm his father. So the physicians embalmed Israel. Now 40 days were required for it, for such was the period requirement of embalming. And the Egyptians wept over him for 70 days. And when the days of the mourning of him who were past, Joseph spoke to the household of Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found favor in your sight, please speak to Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, Behold, I'm about to die, in my grave which I am dug for myself in the land of Canaan, there you shall bury me. Now therefore, please let me go up and bury my father, then I will return. And Pharaoh said to him, Go up, bury your father, as he made you swear. So Joseph went up. So a lot of favor here, and this is not just a day or two journey. This is a
2-week journey or something
at least.
Like that.
It's quite a hike. And so this is a hunk of time for him to spend some time mourning.
Well, and I know it's politics, but I do love the humility of Joseph. Still coming, even though Joseph is right hand, like, well, yeah, I can just go do what I want. But no, he still goes and he says, and he's like, if I found favor, you just provided my family for 30 years, all of this stuff. But if I'm still in favor, may I ask you this next thing?
That's good. That's good. It's very, go ahead.
The mourning, I guess, for Pharaoh's was 72 days.
Okay.
And here they mourn for
70.
Joseph's father almost as long.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
For him 70 days.
Oh, wow, that's good.
So somehow
very honoring for the Egyptians to honor him that way.
So it really wonders what in those 30 years.
What happened?
Was Pharaoh like, dude, you've lived a long time. Let's talk. I want to know.
Well, and I wonder if they actually had favor too, because they were in the land. I wonder if God blessed that land and people recognized, hey, these guys are kind of good to have around.
Well, and at least they recognized what Joseph had done for the country. And so this is your dad, and so
we're going to honor him.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the very least, it's that for sure. Okay, good. And Pharaoh said, Go up and bury your father as he made you swear. So Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of the household, and the elders of the land of Egypt. So some heavy hitters went along, obviously. And all the household of Joseph and his brothers and his father's household, they left only their little ones and their flocks and their herds in the land of Goshen. There also went up with them both chariots and horsemen, and it was a very great company. When they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond the Jordan, they lamented there with a very great and sorrowful lamentation. And he observed 7 days mourning for his father. Now, when the inhabitants of the land of Canaan saw the mourning at the threshing of the Atad, they said, This is a grievous mourning for the Egyptians. Therefore, it is named Abel Mizraim, which is beyond the Jordan. And thus the sons did for him as he had charged them. And the sons carried him to the land of Canaan and buried him in the cave of the field of Mechpah before Miriam, which Abraham had bought, along with the field of the burial site from the Ephron the Hittite. And after he had buried his father Joseph returned to Egypt, he and his brothers and all who had gone up with him to bury his father. All right, so this is just kind of some factual information that's going on, but basically he's saying he carried his father Jacob to the place where he had asked to be buried with Abraham, with Isaac, and all the others that were there. And to me, I'm impressed with the entourage that went with him.
I would think
very honoring.
Any people who were watching this entourage would have been probably terrified.
Somebody great was buried just now, and probably they thought it was a king. And it's
well, even just watching like a host of Egyptian chariots at that time just roll through your land would just be like,
whoa,
what? What are you guys doing?
Something big. No, that's a good point. And they obviously noticed it. They made their impression.
You're running to update your insurance information.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think
it's not going to go well.
Something that strikes me as I'm reading this, especially in our modern context, we have so many people who have issues with loved ones dying, and I know we just started our grief share group and all of those things. But like when we take a look at all throughout the Old Testament and even into when Jesus is there with Lazarus, mourning's an actual thing. They like, and I don't know if that's in God's wisdom and how that society was done and what we see actually Israel do, but they have these like, you are to spend a week, you are to spend this time actually mourning. And I'm sure they still had grief issues and all of these other mental health issues that we do today, but they actually took time in the midst of their daily rhythm to say, wow, I'm going to stop and I'm actually going to weep. Even if I don't feel like weeping, I'm going to spend time and actually weep because, like, as we know now, like our bodies actually need that. Like we actually need to acknowledge all these things.
Yeah. No, that's very insightful. Yeah.
And back then, like, it's not like today where you can call into work and someone will cover for you. Like if you don't go get the food and go to the river and get water or whatever, like you don't have food or water. Yeah. So to take that time, and I think to have it be a specific and ordered or thou shalt kind of a thing means that like, okay, this person's mom just died, so you'll probably all need to like start making the idea of coming over with Tupperware. Yeah. It's like, we as a community, we're probably going to have to bring them water and food and stuff like that because they are supposed to.
There's a time
to have this time.
Yeah, that's good. Boy, that is really, really insightful.
Liturgy for the win.
You're right, because they're saying, this is a time of mourning, and you need to take that time. That's really good. Verse 15, when Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, what if Joseph should bear a grudge against us and pay us back in full all the wrong which we did to him? So they sent a message to Joseph saying, your father charged before he died, saying, thus you shall say to Joseph, please forgive, I beg you, the transgression of your brothers and their sin, for they did you wrong. And now please forgive the transgression of their servants of God your father. And Joseph wept, and they spoke to him. Then his brothers also came and fell down before him and said, behold, we are your servants. But Joseph said to them, do not be afraid, for I am in God's place. And as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring about this present result, to preserve many people alive. This is the classic verse of, what you meant for evil, God meant for good. And we go through this it's a kind of but this is where that verse comes from. It's the brothers being fearful and weeping and falling on their faces before him, just as it was prophesied, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, listen, God was in this all the way. Any thoughts on this verse?
Just that it's amazing. I mean, and what an example for all of us.
Well, I think even we see it for what it is. Like the brothers have still not learned their lesson.
Yeah.
Even in all the grace and mercy that we just saw Jacob dispense, what do? They lie and they say, let's make up the story so we can ensure that we get forgiveness, so that we can make sure that Joseph's not going to come back on us. It wasn't enough that he said, guys, go get your family, go get your kids, go get your livestock. I have provided all of this stuff for you. No, we need to go ahead and make a lie that Jacob said this so that Joseph will feel bad enough to do this.
Yeah, right.
Like, and he doesn't know it, and they don't have, all of the things we do today.
All the details,
but we see movies all the time where brothers and sisters, especially in an inheritance situation, manipulate the situation to try and get these different things. And I think, again, it just shows the beauty and mercy and grace of they're still doing this, but Joseph, with the vision, because like some people would say that when Joseph is saying, well, I'm in God's place. Well, no, he's saying God has placed me here. Is the better rendering of that.
And he realizes it.
Yes, it's not like I'm all high and mighty. It's like, no, only God. can put me here,
But-
and therefore I will forgive.
But I will tell you, it's a lot for Joseph to see that, because he spent 7 years in prison. He was, left for dead, or then traded off to the Egyptians. And this whole idea of this forgiveness, he really did, he did not hold a grudge, did he? And he saw God's hand in all of his affliction. And that's, boy, there's a lot of application you can pull out of this particular verse, chapter 50, verse 20. It's a classic, powerful verse. Well, we're just a few verses from the end, so let's press on. So therefore, do not be afraid. I will provide for you and your little ones. So he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. Now Joseph stayed, and he didn't have to. He could have taken advantage of them. They were throwing themselves at his feet, and he could have said, "Okay, well, you know what?" He didn't. I think it's amazing how he fully and completely forgave him. Now Joseph stayed in Egypt, and he and his father's household, and Joseph lived 110 years. And Joseph saw the third generation of Ephraim's sons. Also, the sons of Michar and the sons of Manasseh were born to Joseph's knee. Born on Joseph's knee. So Joseph said to his brothers, I am about to die. Now, this is fast forward, right? So he's toward the end of his life now. Joseph said to his brothers, I'm about to die, but God will surely take care of you and bring you up from this land to the land which he promised on oath to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And Joseph made the sons of Israel swear, saying, God will surely take care of you, and you shall carry my bones up from here. So Joseph died at the age of 110 years, and he was embalmed, and he placed in a coffin in Egypt. And so he probably had that, embalming that the Egyptian pharaohs, I would imagine, they treated him pretty royal and regally, and
Remove
in his
the
burial.
kidneys, the heart.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to die, that's a good place to die. Those guys know how to take care of bodies.
Well, I think there's just so much grace and mercy in this. We talked about forgiveness last night in Thrive. So, one of the questions that we answered is, what is forgiveness? And when you look through the Old Testament and the New Testament, the very idea of forgiveness is a relinquishing that somebody owes you something. So, when you say, I forgive, it means I'm not picking it back up because you don't owe it. And so that's basically what he said. If me already saying, hey, come here and I'll take care of you wasn't enough, okay, I'm going to go ahead and continue to do this and provide for you. And this is my oath to you that I have forgiven you.
Thorough forgiveness. It really is, isn't it? It's not just in word, but it's also in deed and in action and over time. It was just, he never brought that back up. And I think it's an amazing picture of forgiveness and really the grace of God to these people, and just the kind of the underpinning of how this group of people and how they're going to flourish in this land of Goshen, and we know they're going to be there 400 years. Finally, Moses will take them out of this land. Well, so guys, I don't know. We could go. The next page in my Bible is Exodus. That's a long, arduous task as well. Then Leviticus. One thing we've kind of kicked around is we want to continue the verse by verse, but
where to continue the
where
verse
to
by
continue
verse.
that. And one of the things, and maybe we could figure out some kind of I don't know, voting system or something, maybe backed by popular demand. But we end everything with be strong and courageous. That's out of Joshua. I'm just kind of drawn to plow through Joshua. We don't have to, but that's it's an idea I'm going to throw out.
Well, and we're going to meet with that, and so watch out on our social media, because we'll probably be asking
Some polls.
put out
that's
some
a good
polls
idea.
and be like, hey, what would you like to hear? Yeah, take a look at that and give us some ideas, and we might just kind of plan out the rest of the year like that.
Yeah, that'd be good. Well, we'll take a look at a next thing, but we did it, guys. Here, I don't know what date this is, but we've conquered the
So you
book
wanna
of
know
Genesis.
The really cool thing about this, right, is maybe not from your guys' perspective, but when I started the interview process in late April, early May,
Okay.
the very first thing I did was, you guys have got podcasts. Okay, this is where I'm going. If you get Genesis wrong, I know. Okay, I can just say, "Hey, sorry guys," but I started listening to Genesis late April last year.
Okay.
And now that I got to finish it,
That's interesting.
I started just listening to it as hey, am I going to come to this church? Is this where God is calling me? And now I am finishing it sitting in front of the camera
There you
and
go.
behind the microphone. It is so
it
awesome.
truly is a book of beginnings.
It
there
is.
you go.
It is
There you go.
awesome.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you were able to tune in, and I'm glad it resonated, and I hope it resonated with you as well. Thanks for tuning in and joining us. And seriously, if you're interested in giving us some ideas of what you'd like to see us study next and walk through verse by verse, we would be most happy to hear your input. In the meantime, be strong and very courageous, and God bless you all. Thanks for tuning in.